WeRiseNation.com.
This where the grown men stay so you can kill that noise. We be the best to do it coming out of Illinois. So sit back and relax, close your mouth and listen. We bout to hit you with this knowledge that you've been missing. Listen closely to the Grown Men Podcast. We Rise Nation is the station with the gift of gab. We dropping knowledge on these topics that you wanna hear. We on point with it, get the picture loud and clear. If you seek it, you will find what you looking for. And once you hear us, it'll leave you looking for some more. Open the door, let us in, we got a special vibe. Now close the door, lock us in, and enjoy the ride. We about to talk about some things that make a lot of sense. And what we talking about here sometimes will get intense. That's what we looking for, trying to spark a conversation. Join us live or you can listen on the We Rise Nation. This where the grown men stay so you can kill that noise. We be the best to do it coming out of Illinois. So sit back and relax, close your mouth and listen. We about to hit you with this knowledge that you've been missing. This where the grown men stay so you can kill that noise. We be the best to do it.
Welcome back to another edition of the Grown Men Podcast. I am your host, BAN, and welcome to the podcast. Well, folks, we always have a lot to talk about here on the Grown Men Podcast, as we always speak behind the scenes at the We Rise Nation Network. A lot of different topics that come up during the course of our conversations, and it's a lot of different things that we want to talk about in the future. With so many topics to talk about, sometimes we have to narrow it down to something that is pertaining to what is happening right now, not only in this country, but across the world, and that is the consequences from conspiracy theories. And, you know, we talk about this a lot over at the We Rise Nation Network. Steele and I have discussed this many nights over some drinks, of course, but we have discussed this many nights about conspiracy theories. And Steele kind of like edges to the point where he kind of believes in conspiracy theories. And I'm kind of to the point of where I don't believe in conspiracy theories. And here's my reason why. I believe that people conspire to do things, but I don't think it's as big or as large scale as it may seem. But I came across a few things online that I want to read to you. And these are some interesting things, what they have to say about conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories can have significant social and psychological and political consequences, undermining trust in institutions, damaging relationships, and fostering discrimination. Does that sound familiar? Is that what's going on today in politics with who is now inherited the White House? Do these things make sense to you? I will go on. The social impact, erosion of trust. Conspiracy theories often undermine public confidence in established institutions, such as governments and scientific organizations. For instance, exposure to anti-government conspiracy theories have been linked to decreased voter engagement and reduced willingness to act on critical issues like climate change and vaccination. The erosion of trust can lead to a disengaged and apathetic populace, which is detrimental to democratic processes. Interpersonal relationships. Belief in conspiracy theories can negatively affect personal relationships. Research indicates that individuals who are in relationships with conspiracy believers report lower satisfaction and increased feelings of social isolation. This is due to the suspicion and mistrust that conspiracy theories can foster, making it difficult for individuals to connect with others. And we see this every day, right? Where people get so caught up in what they believe that they forget that their significant other even exists. And what's worse is, if their significant other doesn't believe the same things that they believe, then they are ready to cast them aside. And in some cases, there have been stories where people have actually murdered their significant other for not believing in the things that they believe in. So right there, there's a lot to unpack. And here's another part: reputation and credibility. Sharing conspiracy theories can damage an individual's reputation, particularly in professional contexts. Those who promote anti-science conspiracy theories may be viewed as less credible, especially in the fields that rely on scientific integrity, such as healthcare. Bingo. Right now, we see what is going on with the federal government. In every office, in every part of this administration, there are people who are conspiracy theorists. This is what is going on in our country today and across the world. The psychological effects. Feeling of powerlessness. Conspiracy theories can leave individuals feeling powerless and anxious, as they often frame the world in terms of hidden agendas and malevolent forces. This can lead to a sense of hopelessness and disengagement from the societal issues. Fear and distrust. Targeted communities, such as those affected by anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, may experience increased fear and distrust toward outsiders. This can create a cycle of isolation and hostility, further entrenching divisions within society. Once again, this is hitting right on point, because all the things that are going on right now with the ICE raids and with all this anti-Semitism, everybody is looking to blame other people for their own problems. That is part of being a conspiracy theorist. People want to put blame on something, some institution, some group of people that are working behind the scenes to make their lives miserable. And the next topic of that is political consequences. Radicalization and violence. Some conspiracy theories can contribute to radicalization and justify extreme actions against perceived threats. This can undermine social stability and the democratic processes, as mistrust in institutions may lead to individuals to support violent or anti-democratic actions. Where did we see this happen? January 6th. It's telling you everything you need to know. These QAnon nuts, along with these other people, got together and they stormed the Capitol. This is the playbook that Felon 47 is using right now. And it's working. Because as I talk to people, they're more disengaged with the voting process than ever. Because they feel, why am I voting when I am not being heard? These are the type of things that are going on. And the reason for it is conspiracy theories. Another part of it is prejudice and discrimination. Conspiracy theories can perpetuate harmful stereotypes and discrimination against specific groups. For example, beliefs in Jewish conspiracy theories have been linked to increased anti-Semitic attitudes and broader societal prejudices. In conclusion, the consequences of conspiracy theories extend beyond mere speculation. They can significantly impact social cohesion, individual relationships, and political stability. Understanding these effects is crucial for addressing the rise of conspiracy thinking and develop strategies to mitigate its negative impacts on society. There was a mouthful. It told you everything that you need to know about what is going on in this world today, especially here at home in the United States of America. Because all of these things that are going on right now is part of this conspiracy. We all know what it is, and it's being headed by Felon 47. As I've said before, Steele and I have had many discussions about conspiracy theories. And the way I look at it is like this. Some people put it in the same terms as the Bible, right? They say, if you believe some of the things in the Bible, then you have to believe it all or you believe none of it. And unfortunately, people have taken this same attitude toward conspiracy theories. Now, as I said at the top of the show, yes, people have conspired together to do things all the time. It's not a theory. It's not a thought process. It's people that are openly engaging in this foolishness. You see, I remember growing up when things like conspiracy theories that you saw in magazines like the National Enquirer, when people looked at like it was garbage. And they were on the newsstands. And as I said in the past, my old man used to buy those things and read them. That's how I knew about it. And I was looking at them. I'm like, this stuff is unbelievable. And at that time, I was only like 10, 11 years old. And I knew that it was ridiculous, even on its merit, because there was never any validation to it. It's just like aliens landing in Roswell, right? Everybody says this happens. They got conspiracies of what these alien beings did here on Earth before we were here. And they're all conspiracy theories because there's never any fact. There's never any proof behind it. So for me, it's just a bunch of rhetoric, a bunch of noise. But see, there are a lot of people in the world who use conspiracy theories to make up for their faults or what is happening in their lives. So they point the finger at other groups of people from whatever their backgrounds, whether it's religious purposes or not. And now the federal government is entrenched in conspiracy theories. As you see Felon 47 trying to change and erase history, the fact that he was impeached, the fact that he lost the last election that he was in before. He can't live with it. His ego won't let him. So he digs into these conspiracy theories. The same way when someone gets murdered that his administration or himself does not like, they always paint them in a bad picture, right? Oh, they were some kind of domestic terrorist or something of that nature. And there are people out here, unfortunately, who actually believe these things. That is where it gets serious and dangerous. Because unless cooler heads cooler heads, take over and we start thinking correctly, then we're going to continue to have these issues as a society because people don't believe in anything, right? That's why they are doing everything under the sun. And that goes for the federal government down to the lower level street thug. Because these conspiracy theories get a lot of people in trouble. We've seen case after case, time after time, where people have enacted their conspiracy theories and went out and did these things. Whether they thought this politician was molesting children or eating babies or whatever the case may be. There's never been any facts. There's never been any evidence that these things ever happen. And yet still we will push the narrative that it did. And it's unfortunate that these conspiracy theories are what is controlling us today. To me, I look at it like a Ponzi scheme or the pyramid scheme, right? Where you get a few people that want to push this narrative, right? And with the internet right now, there are conspiracy theorists left and right. They're saying this and that. They want you to watch their videos. Of course they do. Because when you watch their videos, they are getting paid. That's why they are doing these things. If they weren't getting paid, they wouldn't be doing it at all. That's the thing about conspiracy theories. So you take these groups like QAnon and all these other groups that are out here who believe in this nonsense. They're the ones pushing it because they're getting paid. Take Alex Jones. Look how much money Alex Jones was making off of conspiracy theories. But then he finally had to pay the price when he crossed that line about children being murdered, and he took that as a conspiracy. It wasn't real. And he had to pay a price for that. And well, he should. Because see, it's really dangerous when that kind of thinking gets into normal, regular society. It's understandable for people who are off in those rural places, right? Or up in the mountains somewhere because they believe that their uncle was Bigfoot. It's okay for that, right? But when you're talking about normal society where the rest of us live, it is not okay. Because you're bringing the dangers into our well-populated cities. And these guys are conspiracy theorists. They want to load up guns. They want to live in bunkers underground because they think that the world's going to end at any time if they let the blacks or the Jews or the Latinos take over and they're being outnumbered. And you have the Vice President of the United States and his boss, Felon 47, who are pushing these theories. And this is the most asinine thing you can do in the federal government. But we know that they have no shame. Felon 47 told people to drink household chemicals during COVID. Conspiracy theories, things that were written online. And there were several people who died from that because of this misinformation that is being spread. And now, with Felon 47 back in the White House, people are less inclined to get vaccinated. They're less inclined to believe any scientific information whatsoever. Just a couple of weeks ago, Felon 47 actually said out his own mouth when he was speaking of the cold snap that's going on across the country. And he said, oh, what about climate change? It's cold outside, so, this must not have been real in the first place. Once again, Felon 47 and the rest of his crew of Magda, these people do not read books, they never have, and they don't understand that there's the different thing between climate and weather. There are two different things. Climate change can affect weather swings, which means it can be real cold or it can be real hot. And sometimes it's seasonal and sometimes it's not. But had Felon 47 ever picked up a science book or he ever read anything or watched any videos on science, he would know this. But he doesn't because he won't and he can't. So for him to be the leader of the free world, it's a very scary thing, especially when they brought him back again. I mean, the first time they should have dragged him out and that should have been it. But these conspiracy theorists will continue to go on and they will continue to spread this disinformation. And it's up to people what they want to believe in. My thing is, I never tell someone what they should believe in. And I don't tell them what I believe in. If I have a conversation with you and you say something that I either agree with or disagree with, most of the time I give you the head nod or I give you some encouraging words. And that's about it. because I'm not going to get into an argument or a debate about this. I'm done with that. I used to do that in the earlier part of my life, but now I don't. I like to let things play out and see who was right and who was wrong. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to continue to believe in science. And I will continue to read and learn every day as I continue to grow. Because as I said before, and I tell people all the time, you're never too old to accumulate knowledge. You're continuing to accumulate knowledge every day. At least that's what we're supposed to be doing. But some of us are asleep at the wheel, right? Because we're too busy trying to find out what the next video is saying that's telling us what conspiracy is going on next. And we see these conspiracy theories continuing to put people's lives in danger. If it was a joke or you want to make a joke among your friends, that's fine. But when you go public, when you go viral with disinformation, then we all should take issue with that. And we all should call it out for what it is. And that's bull. It's bull flop. It's not true. It's nonsense. These people are only saying these things to get money. And Fox News is the biggest conspiracy theorist network around. They have all the knuckleheads and cuckoos and everything else working for them. And if those people don't believe it, shame on them for pushing the narrative to other people. Because see, that's what I believe it is personally. I've always said that. These people only do these things for money. And they don't care when you go out and do something stupid and something bad happens to you. If they tell you something or they play it on their network and you go out and do it, they got lawyers, teams of lawyers, right? That are piled up to say this was only done for parody, or we're not news commentators. We just have shows and we just play a character, because basically that's what a lot of them are doing. And they're doing this for financial gains. Conspiracy theories and financial gains are tied closely together. As I've said previously on this podcast, follow the money. If you want to know why people do the things they do, follow the money. If you want to know why people at the top believe in conspiracy theories, follow the money. It's always been about the money. And if you get enough rubes and suckers to believe these things and act on them, it makes you look credible. So not only are you getting wealthy, but now you're being treated as if you're some kind of genius. And that's what a lot of these guys need and want, especially Felon 47. He needs attention. He can never stop getting enough attention. He wants to talk about anything and everything under the sun, having fictional conversations with himself, saying he's talked to other world leaders, when other world leaders have said they had no such conversation. So who are we to believe? A felon or another leader of another country? You know, in normal times, you would tend to like to believe the president of the United States, right? Over anything else. But in these times that we're living in right now, it couldn't be further from the truth. Because Felon 47 is never going to tell the truth. He never has, and he never will. There's no truth in him. And for his followers, it's the same as well. Because they're not believing in him as a whole. They believe in the things that he's saying. Because I've said this many times, what do people in rural counties and in the country have in common with a real estate con man? A New York City real estate con man. What do they have in common? Nothing. accept conspiracy theories because he spouts off the same rhetoric and they like, yeah, he's right. They're discriminating against the whites. So we're going to make it fair again for the whites. As if it ever was not fair for the whites. Because once again, these conspiracy theories have them thinking in their mind that they're being replaced. And you have guys like Elon Musk and Stephen Miller and the rest of that gang who believe these things. And then you even have some black Americans jumping in and saying, yeah, what could be worse than white supremacy? We can't replace white supremacy with black supremacy, as if that would ever be a thing. Because first of all, white America wouldn't let that happen. And second of all, black Americans don't stand together for anything. That would stop any kind of cooperation. Because us as black Americans don't stand together anyway. So how could that ever happen? How could it ever be a takeover? But see, these are the conspiracy theories that these people continue to push because in their minds, they have to get their base riled up. So they go out and look tough with their guns over their shoulders. As we continue to hear from our own government that protesters shouldn't bring guns to protest. And we even had people high up in the government saying this. I've protested before and I brought a sign. Then what the hell was January 6th? Felon 47 himself called January 6th a peaceful protest when you've seen all the images of what they were doing. That was anything but peaceful. And yet the man up in Minneapolis was exercising his right to protest. And he was helping another woman up who was shoved to the ground, and he lost his life behind it. And he was labeled as a domestic terrorist. Once again, conspiracy theory, not proven. George Soros, he funds all the protests. People are getting paid to go out there and protest. They're not doing it for free. Once again, a conspiracy theory. No facts, no proof. Because for the simple fact, people are out protesting because they disagree with Felon 47 and his administration and his ICE goons and these federal agents. That's why they pulled Greg Bravino out of there and sent them back out to California. He should have never been in Minneapolis in the first place. And now they're sending in there Big Bag Homan. That's right, Homan's going up there after he took the big bribe. So now he wants to go run the ICE and the federal agents. And now they're talking about de-escalating. De-escalating because they murdered people. That's what they did. They murdered people and they used our money to do it. And now they want more of our money to fund more murders in more communities where they were never asked to be there in the first place. Once again, all part of conspiracies, all tied to it. Because Felon 47 and his cronies said that the immigrants are running wild, they're eating pets, they're doing everything. When no one sees this going on in their cities. No one. They sent them here to Chicago on the strength of Venezuelan gangs taking over the city of Chicago, which is bull. Because I grew up in the set. I know all the gangs in this city, all the organizations. So when I seen them say that, and they tried to use that conspiracy theory, I knew that it was false because I know the truth. You can't lie to people who know the truth. Only idiots, morons, rubes, and suckers would believe that. There's no way in hell that any Venezuelan gangs would come here and overtake the gangs that are already here. It would never happen. Not in a million years. Because these gangs would have something to say about it. Trust me. Conspiracy theories, don't believe me, and I can tell you why. What is the point of conspiring if all you need to do is lie? If enough believe it, then there's nothing much to do. It feeds itself, then other people come and feed it too. Some people gullible, believing everything you say. Most of them lost, looking for heroes to say today. So much knowledge out here, should you seek it, you will find that having knowledge mixed with wisdom is a state of mind. I can't pretend to feel the same way that you feeling. Got different thoughts about these topics, learning has no ceiling. God willing, I'ma continue seeking every day. You can't hide the truth, cause truth will always find a way. Then they want to talk about how the Jews run all the banks. All the Jews this and the Jews that. And the Jewish people this and the Jewish people that. Once again, jealousy. And that comes from all sections of Americans, white Americans and black Americans alike. Because I've heard rhetoric from both sides, both black Americans and white Americans speaking down on Jewish people. It's not a conspiracy theory, it's jealousy. Because you see, Jewish people get themselves together and they organize and they fight for what they believe in and they fight for what's right. That's why white Americans and black Americans both get jealous. Because see, as black Americans, I know because I'm a black American. And I know that other black Americans don't like other black Americans being successful. That much we know. See, I don't get mad at black Americans for being successful. I want them to be successful. I don't get mad at white Americans for being successful. I want them to be successful as well. What I get mad at is when both black and white Americans get mad at other groups of people for pulling themselves up and getting together with their people and building a financial structure for their generations. Something in which black Americans failed to do because we were put between a rock and a hard spot. And when we dug our way out, some of us have turned our backs and said, hey, I got mine. You get yours. I'm no longer black. I'm just an American now. And that's what they've graduated to. A lot of these politicians, go talk to Byron Donald, go talk to Mr. Tim Scott and several others. They'll tell you they're just an American. We don't see color. So when they wake up in the mirror, they don't see color. We know that we're all colorless by nature. The only reason we see color is by light, and that's the light of God. That's why we see color. Because without light, there is nothing but darkness. But we are living in dark times right now. And we know generations have went through it before. But we continue to go down a slope that we may not be able to climb back out of. It may take our grandchildren's grandchildren to finally get the thought process where hatred can be destroyed. But I feel that that will not happen because I continue to see young children being led astray by adults with conspiracy theories. Because when you have conspiracy theory parents, then the children are going to be conspiracy theorists. And sometimes that's on another level. Because, see, they teach them to shoot guns at an early age. There are people who are glorified for murdering people, and that's all over the world, not only in this country. We need to do a better job of educating children because they are the future, has been said many times before, as we were the future for our parents and our grandparents. But if we want to have a future, then we better start building one without conspiracy theories. Because unless we do that, we're going to continue down this road. We've seen it time after time. People telling people about things that they know are not true. They know that these things have been proven false, and yet still they want to push this narrative. Now, I understand why all these MAGA people do it, right? All these Make America Great Again people, right? Because they're kissing up to their boss and the man that they love and worship, and that is Felon 47, and the power that he wields from the executive branch. You have a man who falls asleep during his cabinet meetings, during any kind of press conferences or anything. He's falling asleep, he's slurring his words, and they're laughing at him. The things that he's saying, he thinks they're laughing with him, but secretly they're laughing at him. And they're only in it to get what they can get. So they'll push these conspiracy theories as well. People who have college educations who should know better. And yet they're still perpetuating this lunacy and this lie. And now, as I've said previously, they're looking to go into voter rolls so they can find out who actually voted against this man in the 2020 election. This is what we're doing right now. So several states are probably going to have their votes audited, and they're going to want to know who voted. Oh, I think maybe 1 million Venezuelans voted illegal. These are the conspiracy theories that are being pushed out here. And Fox News goes right along with it because they don't care. They're getting paid a lot of money to push this garbage. That's why you see guys like Sean Hannity and big eyebrow Ricky Waters push this garbage, because they're paying them a big check. They don't believe in this no more than anybody else. They're in it for the money. It's all a work. But see, a lot of people don't understand that because they're gullible. And gullible people will believe anything under the sun. That's something I know from the lower level. In the many times I've talked to people in my life about their belief system, and they've told me a lot of crazy things that on the surface wouldn't make sense at all. And yet they continue to believe these things because you have people on top that are telling them. So if it's somebody that you worship or idolize and they're telling you something that you really find hard to believe, and yet you're still going along with it, what does that say about you? And that's what a lot of us are out here doing right now. So that's why I cannot now or ever embrace conspiracy theories, because it's simply not truth. And as I've said before and previously, and still in our talk several times about it, I believe that people conspire together to do things, but normally it's right there in the open. All you have to do is look for it. But a lot of people don't. They're too busy looking online for the next story they can find out. Oh, so-and-so ate this, or so-and-so did that, or who did what and where and when. Instead of actually fact checking these things, talk to people to find out if it's true or not. No, we run with it. And we post it and we retweet it when someone says it. Never checking anything, just on the strength that it may align with what you believe in. And see, that's the funny part, right? Because we believe in a lot of things. You know, like a lot of us believe in God. We believe in Jesus and all that goes along with it. And see, sometimes that opens you up. If your mind is gullible, it opens you up to a lot of other things that are not true. And that's how they hook you, right? They get you interested in something that they may believe in and that you may believe in. So both of you might believe in the same thing to an extent. And then it gets a little weird when they start talking about something else, but you go along with it based on the strength of what they previously said that you agreed with. That's how it all starts. They're looking to get you engaged in the one issue, and then they tack on a couple of issues, right? It's like when the government, the Congress people, they get together to try to come up with a bill, and the Senate, they'll go for this bill right here if they can tack on these other bills that nobody's paying attention to. That's how they get you with conspiracy theories, because they clue you in on the one key thing that brought you in the door, and then they try to sell you something else. That's what salesmen do, right? When you go to that car dealership and then you just want to buy that car, but they say, oh, you need this undercoating and you need this and you need that and this and the other. Before you know it, you spent $5,000 and $6,000 on accessories that you didn't necessarily need. That's the same thing with conspiracy theories. There are certain things that have an element of fact to them, and you can fact check them 99% of the time, and it'll be proven to be either true or false. There's no gray area with conspiracy theories. Either you believe the whole bag or you believe none of it. And I'm on the side that believes none of it. I don't believe people conspire. I believe they conspire to do things as far as when they're going out to commit a crime. Yes, but it's not really a conspiracy because you can see it in front of you most of the time if you're looking for it. As I said before, it's not one of these situations where they're hiding what they're doing. It's like the episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns wanted those greyhounds that The Simpsons had. And it was like, and Smithers told him, sir, you don't put that much into your schemes, as he was plainly picking those dogs up and putting them on the side in plain sight. He wasn't hiding it. That's what these conspiracy theorists are doing. They're not hiding anything they're doing. They're putting it out in plain sight. And you get a group of people online and they start talking about it and they start believing it and they start reposting and retweeting it. And then they get some of these pseudo celebrities to believe it as well. And once a celebrity says it, it must be true because they have 100% credibility. A celebrity would never lie, right? At least that's what some people tend to believe. Most of the time, celebrities are lying because, once again, follow the money. They're in it to get paid. So anything under the sun, they're going to go with. And you have a celebrity in Felon 47 that is in the White House right now. And what he says, a certain section of society actually believes it to be true. And they're never going to take the time to fact check it because that era is over with. Everybody does everything now, because attention spans are very short. We're entertained by something for a couple of minutes before something else shocking comes along and we believe it. And with AI right now, you can generate anything and people will believe it based on the fact that it's online. And it's unfortunate that people have been falling for this right now. And the younger generation is really in trouble because they don't know what to believe. And we continue to see these things happening with what's going on the federal level. Because the United States government is now being controlled by people who are conspiracy theorists. They believe in stolen elections and everything under the sun. Now, what happened to the early days, right? So you have Felon 47 claiming that an election was stolen. I mean, any president could have claimed that at any time, right? And yet he's the only one that continues to push this narrative even after he's been reelected again. Why can't we put that under scrutiny? Why can't conspiracy theorists jump all over that one and say that he stole an election? See, that's the thing. Sometimes these goody two-shoe people don't want to hit back because they want to preserve democracy in this country. And I understand all that because they feel that when democracy is eroded, we no longer have a country. And all that may be true. But at some point in time, you got to get tired of getting punched in the mouth without even trying to defend yourself. Because when Felon 47 spouts this idiotic nonsense, you've got to hit him back. That's why I like to see what Gavin Newsom is doing. He's hitting this lunatic where he lives, and I want more people to do it because that's what needs to be done. That's why the Epstein files have to keep being discussed, and they keep releasing little small files and little redacted files to try to take out Trump's name. And we know this. As they got up there and they had a press conference a couple of weeks back and said, oh no, we're not trying to protect President Trump. Bull. His name is all in those Epstein files. You're doing nothing but trying to protect him. Because see, if it was anything greater than that, right? Because the only other name they got out of there was what? Bill Clinton? And they want the Clintons to go testify. See, they know that people really don't care for Bill Clinton like that anymore. So that's nobody scandalous. Where are the scandalous people that you said was in there other than Trump? That idiot lady, Pam Bondi, who's in the Department of Justice. She said she had the files on her desk last year. Where are they? Because she's trying to protect her boss. Just like South Park says, she has crap on her face because her head is so far shoved up Trump's butt. But this is where we are as a country. All because conspiracy theorists and the people who enabled them are in charge of the federal government. And we're going to be dealing with this for a while. It's not going to be a one and out shot, right? Because people are going to continue to come with these crackpot theories that they made up after drinking moonshine out of a still, or smoking meth, or doing opioids, or any other kind of drug. Because you have to be on drugs and delusional to believe any of this nonsense and foolishness when it can be disproven time after time. But we don't get it because we're a society of complainers and looking for reasons and excuses to hide our shortcomings. As I spoke early in the podcast about both white and black Americans, we're both complainers. On the white American side, they think that they're being replaced and they push this narrative and conspiracy theory. Yeah, we're being replaced. They're bringing in all these immigrants. Immigrants have been coming into America since before I was born, before my grandparents were born. Immigrants have been coming to this country. But see, it's the immigrants that they don't like. The brown immigrants. They don't care about the white ones, but they care about the brown ones or the black ones that come into this country. As we know, recently that happened, where the representative up in Minnesota was squirted with a substance. And Trump says out his mouth about, oh, she may have had somebody spray her. And that gave people the eyebrow frown because we're like, yeah, the same way you supposedly got shot at but didn't get killed, being shot at by an AK-47 or AR-15 and didn't get killed. Yeah, we know who's making up stories here, right? The same guy that was at the McDonald's drive-thru like he actually worked when we know damn well that he's never worked a day in his life. The same man who dodged selective service by saying his feet, he got bone spurs. This is the same man, Felon 47. And it's people like him and his ilk who have shortcomings in life that they want to make excuses and reasons why they can't do what they want to do. White Americans do it. Black Americans do it. And for Black Americans like myself and others, we tend to stand in the category of the ones that are out grinding, the ones that look down on the ones grinding, and the ones from the bottom that look up to the ones that are grinding and trying to get it and want to take what they got. Because see, there are hardworking Black Americans every day who suffer the fate in our communities from other Black Americans. And then when we get pinched or when we get in trouble, we look to blame somebody else. That's why a lot of Black Americans sided over there with Felon 47, because they can identify with being a complainer. Because all I hear every day, all day, is people's complaints. I hear it when I'm walking down the street, when they're having their conversations that's supposed to be personal, by the way, but they're talking on speakerphones or earpieces where everybody can hear it. I hear them complaining there. I hear people complaining at work, coming home from work. I hear people complaining on the radio. I hear them on the internet. All I hear is complainers. There are no grinders. There are very few of us who actually go and get it when we need to get it. That means get down and dirty and get your hands dirty and actually do a hard day's work. So they can identify with Felon 47 because he never did a hard day of work in his life. He doesn't know what hard work is. A trust fund baby like himself tries to cast blame on everyone else. And then they come up with these conspiracies of these groups of people conspiring together, the Jewish people conspiring together. No, they just did what needed to be done, as well as the Japanese and the Japanese Americans, as well as some of the Latino and Latino Americans who go out and work hard. There's nothing wrong with going out and doing an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. But see, a lot of us don't want to do that. And then you get these theories of, oh, they're stealing our jobs. What, the jobs that you never filled in the first place? It's like they talk about when they say that, the job, looking for jobs has gone down. So that must mean everybody's working. No, that means people are not looking for work. They're not actively wanting to work. They're looking to rob the people who are actually out working. And both white Americans and Black Americans are guilty of the same. Black Americans do it with a gun. White Americans do it with software, where they go inside banks and steal your data. They want to know everything about you. See, that's the thing about me. Sometimes these programs try to access the way I think and the way I feel. They'll never do it. Because the one thing I have is a mind that is built for me. I don't see things through the same vision and sight line as everyone else. I think outside of the box. When I was younger, I was influenced by a lot of different things. But as I got older, I saw what those things were, which were just distractions. They were distracting me from the man that I should be. And as I got older, I started to get it more and more. I'll never understand everything until I meet my maker. Then I will understand my creator, and I stand before him in judgment. Then I will get all of the knowledge. But right now, I'm still accumulating it. But I'm comfortable in my own skin and who I am, unlike a lot of people who aren't, because they simply do not have that mindset. They're too busy chasing conspiracy theories on why they are not successful and why someone is holding them down. And then they go and spread this to someone else who has the same mindset that they have. And that's how conspiracy theories get started. Because they're started by people who are disgruntled because they're unsuccessful in their own skin and in their own lives. all they have to fall back on is conspiracy theories. And if they can group together with enough people who feel the same way that they do, they can start another revolution. And that was the basis for January 6th and all these other uprisings that may happen in the future. Because it's frustration when you're not the person who you want to be. Not at the fault of anyone else, but yourself. Because you're the one who has to look in the mirror and determine what type of person you are and who you want to be. Well, folks, it appears my time is up. I'm glad that you came here to listen to me speak on these things because it's an important topic, and we're always going to speak on what the people want to hear, and they want to hear our thoughts here at the We Rise Nation Network. Head on over to WeRiseNation.com. See all of the things we got going on over there. Constantly updating the website. The music is up there. We're streaming free and we're doing it for free. So head on over there and listen to what we got going on. Check out our blogs, some of the other interesting things that we post there. Well, until next time, folks, I am your host, BAN, and I will talk to you soon.
Where the grown men stay so you can kill that noise. We be the best to do it coming out of Illinois. So sit back and relax, close your mouth and listen. We about to hit you with this knowledge that you've been missing. Listen closely to the Grown Men Podcast. We Rise Nation is the station with the gift of gab. We dropping knowledge on these topics that you wanna hear. We on point with it, get the picture loud.